What do you know about skill acquisition? And have you heard of the phrase a spirit unchanging? Well, today we'll get into it a little bit on today's check-in. So it'll be a brief one, but a deep one. So let's get into it. Part of that is it's still coming together. And that's the attitude that I keep. It is coming together. Life is coming together. Hello and welcome, family, to another episode of the Shift Lab, the podcast that helps you identify strategic actions that lead to significant progress and true transformation. I'm your host, Aaron Contrell, podcast entrepreneur and self-improvement enthusiast. And today's episode we've already kind of discussed, but we want to not even discuss, but you heard it in an intro. Today we're talking on. First, I just want to check in with you. And two, I want to bring up a quick conversation about skill acquisition and a spirit unchanging. So here on the check-ins, again, it's just kind of brief. I want to know how you guys are feeling out there. It's election season in some local state governments, mine in particular, and some people are on edge. And I want to tell you to go out and get your vote on, right? Reason being, because I remember a time where it didn't really matter to me, and I prided myself, I would say, off of not voting. I thought it was a thing that I didn't really need to do. And still to this day, I'm still in between about like our true power or what the result truly is as we vote, right? That said, either way it goes, the laws and policies that are being passed are affecting us. And we can't deny that. No matter how free-spirited you are, no matter if you're left, right, center, it's affecting us. And this goes for every aspect of our lives. So nowadays, believe me, I'm one to say that I've switched my view on the fact that I vote at all. However, who you vote for is up to you, and why you vote is up to you. But I want to encourage you to get out and try to make a change. And if you think that it means something, then go ahead and do it, because it's better. You're better doing so than not doing it and complaining about who's in position and in power. Get out, do your thing, especially if you got early voting and stuff going on in your area. But this podcast is about shift point and about shifting and about making change. And policies make change. Politicians go for change and they push for change, no matter if that change is something that you agree with. And I've said that plenty of times. Transformation, true transformation, doesn't always necessarily mean positive. Now, we have a positive outlook. However, transformation is what it is, pure transformation. And it happens over time, compounded actions, ideas being applied, so on and so forth. And then we arrive to this new outcome that we call change or transformation. So get out there and really, if you want to see something change or transform within your world, well, first you have to change yourself, and then you can start really putting your foot forward to help change the lives of others or helping them see a different view or perspective. So yeah, get out and do your thing. And that's one thing that's on the docket right now. I would say that another one, I wanted to just say that the week was good, and I hope your week has been good. I know you listen to this on a Saturday, so hopefully your week was good and you're ready for a chill weekend, depending on what the weather looks like. It's Mother's Day coming up, so to all of those whose mothers are still here with us, celebrate them, and those who mothers are no longer here with us, show them love, give them a hug, and send a prayer up for the fallen and gone. And because it's a deep time and it's a hard time. Not everybody has both of their parents, let alone a parent. So if you know someone that has lost a loved one, well, give them a hug, show them some love. And if you know someone who has both of them, give them a hug, show them some love. And let's be glad in the fact that we are still here and we have each other to at least celebrate, even if you're not my mother or father, right? So, boom, that's another thing. Okay, so I scroll like many of us do, and I have moments where I come by where the For You page is really for me. It's doing its thing. And one of some of those topics that come across my page are from other creators that I enjoy and I hear about. And one of the short ones that came about was she talked about controlling your mood and how it's one of the most important skills that you can have. And I do agree, because controlling your mood can control your mood goes and influences your actions and so on and so forth. So if you can control your mood and not be swayed by other people's actions and thoughts and opinions, but you're able to stay still and or take it wherever you need to take it when you need to take it, but it's you that's making the decision. It's you that's in the driver's seat. You're not being pulled around, right? That's very important. And to some people that will annoy them to know that they can't move you how they move others with words of discouragement or even words of affirmation. Like, some people get off being able to make you do what they want to do by just flattering you. And some people just simply want to discourage you, but they're upset that you continue to move on past what they said about you or to you. So being able to control yourself is very good. And I thought that's something I wanted to share and remind you of. Also, envisioning the end. Now, I've talked about this in other episodes about how working from the end is one thing that Neville Goddard talks about. And I like Neville Goddard teachings. And he talks about living from the end. Well, there was a creator who spoke about how some people overthink the idea because they are so worried. They'll psych themselves out. They are so worried, thinking that they need to embody all of those traits here and now. It was Stitch, so another one came right behind her, and she too agreed with it, but also mentioned that let me look at my notes real quick. Mention that the way that we can start is by simply agreeing that we will start, right? And I wanted to piggyback off of that and not just saying, yes, agree to start, and yes, still work from the end, but know that the feeling is the secret. I want to remind you of that, because you don't have to embody everything. The goal is to eventually embody it all, right? But the feeling, if you feel successful, even though you're not successful, if you feel that you are the person that you want to be today, even if it's just the inkling of it, you're doing better than what you were a few moments ago. You don't have to embody every aspect. Actually, it's almost impossible for you to make that switch today, right? You making a 180 degree switch is darn near impossible to do it just today. Not saying that no one has ever done it. However, maybe that's not for you. Maybe that's not your ministry, right? Maybe that's not your story. However, what I want to encourage you is, yes, think from the end, but act in the now and feel from the end today. And you have to go back and repeat that every single day, because you're not going to just wake up tomorrow and necessarily always feel this way. But if you did it yesterday, you can do it today. And repetition is the key, which leads me into what I want to talk about today. So, real fast, this is coming from the Book of the Five Rings. The Book of Five Rings, right, by Miyamoto Musashi. And as you can see, and if you guys are listening or reading, if you guys are listening, I'm holding up the book. So if you go onto the YouTube, you can see what I'm talking about. But this is a quick passage out of the book of the Five Rings. And this, I read this last week on last week's episode, but I wanted to bring it back because it has a part of it that I really wanted to touch base on. And it was not just that one. Here it is. So this is under the subtitle "The Way of Strategy," and here's the comment. And the he in this is the carpenter. What's the word? The carpenter, which is a archetype that he talks about in this book. So the carpenter, right? So he says he makes columns and girders with an axe, shapes floorboards and shelves with a plane, cuts fine open work and carvings accurately, giving as excellent a finish as his skill will allow. So I wanted to mention that because I opened this conversation up about skill acquisition and how skill acquisition is important as we move through life. And if you don't know much about skill acquisition, well, skill acquisition is the acquiring of skills. And I think sometimes we overlook this idea, or we may zoom past it because there's so many distractions out there, and there's so many things that can fill our time very easily, right? We get bored and we think that it's time to be distracted instead of a time to be focused. And why I wanted to bring up this particular passage is because the last part, it says, given as excellent a finish as his skill will allow, which means that he cannot surpass his current skill as of yet. Now, could he develop something unique in those moments of flow? Yes. Which eventually may be him surpassing his skill? Yes, that's very possible. However, that doesn't just happen overnight. That happens over time, because maybe in the background there's an inkling of a thought, and maybe he's trying something new each time. And voila, 3 weeks from now, he discovers something new that elevates his skill and pushes him past where he used to be, which removing him, no longer leaving him where he was. But again, you cannot surpass your current skill level in this sense, because like he said, as excellent of a finish as his skill will allow. If you are a woodworker, if you've ever done woodwork before, and me being very much a beginner, last time I've done woodwork was probably in high school. You can envision, because you've probably seen well-finished pieces, but you deep down inside knew that you could only aspire, because your skill wouldn't get you there, but your imagination can. And I think that really, and to those points, it goes back to what we were talking about, what I mentioned about the girls saying that overthinking it. And the overthinking comes from an overactive imagination and not enough action, right? Not enough action. You're sitting and you're wondering and you're pondering on what it takes instead of doing what it takes. At some point, in order to get to where you want to go in life, you can no longer just imagine it and sit and imagine it, dwell in the future. No, you must dwell in the now, keeping the future in mind, but acting. And there's many ways, many variables. So there's many hows on how to get there. But whatever you decide is what you decide. I think we want to be right, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to be right, but know that this is a journey, so you can, and most likely you may be wrong sometime. You can only plan as well as your knowledge will allow, right? You can make a plan, and I mentioned this before. Some people's plans look very different. It's the execution. Some people have bullet points. Some people have detailed passages, step-by-step breakdowns, and very antiquated analytical data on themselves. Like some people go deeper than others, and some, it may seem surface, but the understanding is very deep, and what they have to do, they understand, is very important. Whatever it looks like for you, we tend to do these things to the level of our skill and our knowledge, what we know, and how we know to do it. We can never plan like the next man. I can't think like Neville. I could only imitate in some ways, but then bring it to my experience and give it back to you in the way that I understand it, in the way that I've used it, right? So I wanted to bring that to you and inspire you to start to acquire more skills. And when I say a spirit unchanging, I don't believe, and he mentions this in the book, right? He mentions a spirit unchanging, working day in and day out with the spirit unchanging. And what I wanted to say was that a spirit unchanging to me doesn't look like it doesn't look rigid. I don't interpret that passage or that saying to be you have to be rigid. What I envision it as, and what I interpret it as, is rhythm, having rhythm, a sense of harmony, a sense of rhythm with who you are and where you want to be. Because it's up and down, ebbs and flows, and that's just how life goes. It's up to you to stay in and dance, stay on the dance floor. I love using that type of terminology because life is a dance. Sometimes we take 2 steps back just to take a step forward, but what dance do you know that doesn't include a step back, right? So I want to encourage you that the spirit unchanging is a spirit that is dedicated to the end and understands that it's a dance until the end. It's a flow until the end. I also want to encourage you that while you're learning a new skill, try not to pack it on top with other skills. Try not to learn multiple skills at once. Multitasking, I've learned in my life, is more of a myth than it is a function of what you need to do. Multiple things may get done at once, and you may have small pieces to play, but we all know that once you take your attention off of one thing and put it onto the next thing, the other thing suffers, or the other thing doesn't get done. That just is what it is. Multitasking is probably something that may happen in spurts, but it shouldn't be a long-term plan at all, in my opinion. But, to each his own. I want to encourage you that if you're learning a new skill, well, imitate often and practice it until you make it yours. Implement it into every aspect of your life, knowing that you are becoming this thing and carrying the confidence to know that you are being that thing in that moment, right? If you want to be a certain lawyer or whatever, you take those practices and those understandings and you try to weave that into your daily life, your daily living. You have conversations with people about law and all these other things, right? You talk about policies. You talk about your local policy. You talk about local politicians and new cases that just dropped. You bring it into your realm. You bring it into what you're doing and what you're engaging with. If you're trying to learn math, you should bring it into every aspect of your life. Looking for right angles and 90-degree angles and blase, right? You bring it into your day to day. So move throughout your life knowing that there's more to know, and in order to know it, well, you have to go and sit with it. It won't just happen overnight, but it happens over many nights. And this is skill acquisition, right? Taking the time to learn something new and repeat it often and practice it with intention and diligence. See, our talents can shorten the time that it takes. Some people say it takes 10,000 hours. Others may say that it takes 100. I don't know. But we do know that our talents can sometimes shorten it. However, diligence takes us to the end. And you can't always count on talent. Diligence will always outpace talent. It's the rabbit and the hare type of thing, right? And if you are diligent, you will be consistent. You won't have to worry about consistency. Diligence will breed consistency. In the end of it all, as you do it over and over, you can't help but get some positive results. You will tap your head every now and then. It is what it is. Like you're gonna tap the glass a bit every now and then. But if this is something that you deem worthy of your time and your attention, and is something that you truly want to acquire, well, you'll have it. And then when you have it, you'll know what you want to do with it. And if you just want to put it on the shelf and you're just happy the fact that you've learned something new, that's okay too. Nobody's saying that you have to go out and become a politician because you now understand how politics and policies work. You don't have to be a lawyer just because now you've gained a skill that lawyers want to acquire or must acquire. You can do whatever you want with it. But know that most times your results are capped due to the level of your skill. You can't get a world-class finished product with a novice understanding. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to look the same. Now, your talent may bless you enough to create something very unique, very polished, very professional, but that's not everybody. And I'm not trying to say this needs to be everybody, but that's not everybody's talent. That's what talent does. But you can't bank on talent every single time. But if you match skill with talent, oh my gosh, man, you become dangerous. So there you have it. There it is. Another episode of the Shift Lab. I'm your guy, Aaron Cantrell. And until we meet, be great, be curious, be vigilant, be you. Peace.